Right, now we welcome into the Minor Lounge Taylor Diveley. He's a senior at Coastal Carolina, music major, and the designer of the Mormons vs. Mullets t-shirt that everybody got to see take over the college football world on Saturday. Taylor, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll dive into that craziness that was Saturday between Coastal Carolina and BYU. But real quick, just how did you wind up at Coastal Carolina? How did you get to the university, and what specifically are you majoring in with your music and hope to do there?
So I started my college journey in Columbia at the University of South Carolina, studying music and vocal performance. And I love South Carolina. I'm from Columbia. My brother went there. My dad went there. But the music department just didn't vibe with me. It wasn't a good place for me. And so I remember auditioning for Coastal when I was in high school. And so I called up the music department after my sophomore year at USC and was like, hey, I want to transfer. I'm not really happy where I'm at. Can I come sing for you guys and see if you'll accept me in your program? And I did that summer, and I transferred over. And so for the last 3 years, I've been at Coastal. It's been fantastic. And I set to graduate in May. And as long as music's a part of the question, I don't really care exactly what I do, but I'm really looking at education, whether it be a high school music teacher or a choral director. I love leadership. I love talking to kids and teens, just talking and helping them out on their journey as musicians. So something like that would be super cool.
Awesome. So are you a singer then? You said sing?
I am. So music majors have to choose a primary instrument, and my primary instrument is voice. So I'm a vocal student, yeah.
Awesome. Well, very, very cool. My brother is in the men's choir at Baylor University, and I got this Hamilton poster up on my
I noticed that. I actually looked at Baylor when I was looking at schools to transfer into for their musical theater department. So I love Baylor.
Awesome. But you wound up at Coastal. You said you're a big football fan. I'm just curious, what's the everyday student life like at Coastal, and what were the expectations kind of headed into this football year?
So the reputation of Coastal Carolina, you hear all the time, this huge party school. We're at the beach. We're near Myrtle. That's way overblown, actually. I've noticed that we do like to have our fair share of fun, but not any more than I think most colleges. And usually I will say, like, baseball has been our main sport in the past. We won a national championship a few years back. And so baseball has always been huge, but starting last year, we've had some basketball success, we've had some volleyball success, and then football started to trend in the right direction. And so there was a buzz, and whenever preseason, Coastal was predicted to be last in the Sun Belt, like last of all the teams. And so when that happened, I was lucky enough to have some classes with some players, and they were like, that's not right. We're going to be better than that. Since I remember them saying that preseason, I was like, okay. And so I've been lucky enough to go to almost every home game. And the buzz around football was really huge, especially whenever we got around 4-0, 5-0. Everyone was like, okay, this is something. And the big win at Louisiana Lafayette earlier this season was huge. And it's just took off from there.
Yeah, I remember that Louisiana Lafayette game. You guys were unranked. Louisiana was, and Louisiana was kind of the Sun Belt team getting all the buzz. And it was like, don't look now, but Coastal Carolina is a good team. So that's awesome that you've been able to experience that success and that ride, and hopefully, obviously, it keeps going. Interesting week, right? Because you guys were supposed to play Liberty, and Liberty only has one loss. They're another surprise team, but they had to back out because of COVID cases in this crazy year. And then you guys were able to schedule BYU on Thursday. So if you will, take me a little bit into that 48-hour whirlwind, because that's when you guys scheduled BYU, 13 versus 18, undefeated, a lot of college football talk, playoff talk of, group of five, things like that. But it's also when you and your brother, I believe, came up with the t-shirt idea. So it kind of take me through how all of that, from your perspective, transpired.
Yeah. And so this was a huge week. My brother, his name's Noah. We're actually twins. We lived at USC together. And so we've been huge college football fans. And so the idea of game day we have wanted for so long. Like since we were like in middle school, we were like, oh, I hope that we get a game day when we're in college. And it's just so funny that Coastal got one and South Carolina never got one when we were there. That's funny and on its own right. But so, like you said, we were going to play Liberty, and we were super excited for that. I was even nervous for Liberty because they have a really good quarterback, the Auburn transfer, super good. Hugh Freeze is a good coach. So I was nervous for that. And so with like my more background in SEC sports, with like them being strict about teams they can play and teams they can't play, like South Carolina can't even play Clemson this year, I was like, there's no way that BYU is going to fly all the way across this short. And we started hearing rumors about that on Wednesday. And so as soon as it was confirmed on Thursday morning, I woke up to a text from Noah that was the outline of this shirt. And he was like, look at this is really cool. Like very Catholics versus convicts-esque, like very, this is a funny idea. Like me and Noah, we talk about this stuff all the time. We like to have crazy ideas like that. But I was like, what if we actually did it? And so he was at work at the time. And so I started just cold calling different printing places around Coastal's campus. And I got through like 5 or 6 that were like, we need a minimum of 5 days. I'm like, I don't have 5 days. I have like 24 hours to get these shirts. And I finally found so many things lined up. I finally found one place that was like 3 minutes from campus that was like, sure, we can get you those shirts by Saturday morning. And I was like, that's insane. And for me, I'm just a college kid. I'm living on campus. I'm in my dorm right now. And so I put down all the money for myself for 50 shirts. And it was a couple $100, and that's like huge for me because you hand me a 20 and I'm like, heck yeah, $20. And so the fact that I dipped into my savings a little bit for this weird t-shirt idea, I was like, what the heck am I doing? I was expecting to maybe sell like 20 of them if I'm lucky, get some money back. It was just a cool idea. I was like, Noah, let's do it. And so I got the shirts 24 hours later on Friday at 4:00. And I immediately took a picture on Twitter and sent it out. And me and Noah have a pretty okay Twitter following when it comes to Gamecock stuff. So we retweeted it and got some friends to retweet it, and then it took off. We had people driving from like North Carolina and further, like people coming from the border to just get shirts from Myrtle, people from all over coming to my door to pick up shirts. And I was like, this is not supposed to happen. I don't know how I gave it to some players, some coaches reached out. That's when Ryan McGee from ESPN reached out and was like, hey, save me one shirt, save me a shirt, give it to me pregame. When that happened, I was like, yo, this is far surpassed expectations. And so we only had 50. I wish we could have gotten more, but I literally didn't have the money to get more because I didn't expect it. And so we set up a website that you can order the teal and bronze, and that started taking off. And then me and Noah were like, well, we have a good thing going. So we made the same shirt in BYU colors so BYU fans could get in on it. And then the game, we sold out on Saturday morning at like 10 a.m. Before, like, I would just walked around. I took some pre-orders of people who said they were going to be there, but I was just walking around with some shirts in my backpack. And every time someone stopped me, I was like, I have some. And I sold out in like 20 minutes of being outside.
Was this still the original 50, or did you get a new batch?
This is the original 50. I didn't order any more after the 50 in person because at that point I was like, what are the odds that they have shirts to print? I didn't want to overprint boundaries or try to make it hard on any the company, because the company that I ordered them from were super nice and super helpful of me being able to get it that quick. I didn't want to go back the day of and be like, hey, by the way, can you print more like right now? I just didn't want to press my luck. I didn't know how that would look. And so I got all the 50 out. And then at that point, I was just redirecting. I was scouring Twitter and sending people links. If they asked me, I'm like, hey, do you have Twitter or Instagram, or I can text you a message of the link. And they're still selling really well. And it didn't hurt that I got on TV. That was a big thing. Ryan McGee at ESPN is one of the nicest people I've ever talked to. And so he was like, we'll get this on TV. And so somewhere in the third quarter, I think, I don't know, second quarter, I hear someone yelling at me and they're like, Taylor, and it's Ryan from down on the field. And he's like, we're doing it now. And so the camera's there and my music theatrical side comes out and I'm just dancing, going crazy, going nuts, and here we are. It's such a whirlwind. And so, yeah, that's pretty much how it went. It was just an idea that Noah had, and me and him worked together to get it off the ground. And we've done a few things kind of like this before, not t-shirts, but crazy ideas and crazy stunts before, but nothing like this.
Wow. What, so did he basically get that idea he derived it from the Catholics versus Convent?
Yeah, that's what he told me he did it from, because we had watched the ESPN 30 for 30 and they talked about different t-shirt things and stuff like that. And we were like, what if we did that? What if we were the people? And we ended up being the people. So
yeah. It's just wild and ingenuity at its finest. You said you had some other entrepreneurial ventures or some other things that you've done. What other things have you done with Noah?
Just some like shenanigans on Twitter, like different like niche Gamecock stuff where we would create some Twitter things and it would blow up between like, I don't know, this is like way out there. You probably have no idea what it is, but there's like Grape Gang, and like we had our entire Twitter, like coaches were chiming in and players were tweeting about different fruits and all that. And push comes to shove, and I'm in downtown Charlotte for the Belk Bowl in a grape costume. And I get on national television in a grape costume, and just crazy things like that happen to me and Noah sometimes, and we don't really know why. So something like this was just so out of control. And yeah, I mean, the online link is we're still selling shirts now. It helps that we won the game.
Sure.
But it's insane.
Okay, I need to ask the grape costume. What is that? You were in a grape costume for the Belk Bowl?
So that was 2 years ago. That was 2018, I believe. 2018, yeah, 2018. And so there's this. It's gonna sound so stupid. It sounds so stupid explaining it now because it was like made sense in the moment. So there was this meme going around online about how these doctors did surgery on a grape to prove that these like machines could do it on a grape. And it was a dumb meme. And so Ryan Helinski was a big recruit at the time at South Carolina. And so me and Noah have met Ryan a few times. He's such a cool dude. And so we were in a Twitter group chat with him, and we just started like it's a week at the Clemson game. And so we started spamming this meme on their page, and then everyone was like, why is everyone commenting about a grape? And so we made this grape gang with different people, and then I made a joke. I'm like, if this keeps taking off, I'm going to have to wear like a grape costume to the bowl game. And it continued to take off. And so I was just trucking through downtown Charlotte as a grape. It made no sense, but it's just something fun that gets like some publicity. It's just dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I freaking love it. That's awesome, and I love the creative energy and the enthusiasm. Obviously, it's shown through here. I'm very curious. What was that moment like when Ryan McGee reached out to you, and then you were, he was holding your shirt on camera, and that was the first I heard of the shirt was when he broadcast, which I'm sure a lot of people watching the game was the first time they heard about it. But what was it like when he reached out to you and really like high personnel, I guess, high profile people were like, I need this shirt.
Yeah. It was Friday night, and I actually had a former student of CCU who is a local reporter now over at my apartment, and he was interviewing me about it when he reached out to me. And that was surreal because, I mean, I watch Marty and McGee on ESPN. Like I watch these guys. I've been watching college football my entire life. So all these people, like I've been keeping up with them forever. And now they're reaching out to me one-on-one. It was huge. And so as soon as the gates opened for the stadium, about an hour before, I went in and I talked to him about it. And then I thought he was just going to show off this shirt and give me a shout out. I didn't know that he was going to put the camera on me like that. So I wasn't even prepared. And so when it happened, the camera turned around and there was a moment of, oh crap, this is it. This is happening right now. I didn't know what to think. And so I just went crazy, did a little dance. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. It was surreal. And then that's whenever like the night before some players reached out, and like me following the team and like going to games, like when Grayson McCall, the quarterback, reached out to me, He was like, I want to share some of our stud defensive players, one of the coaches, the offensive coordinator. I was like, what is this? What's happening right now? That was surreal for sure.
So did the team and the coaches, did they like pay you for the shirts or?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
right?
know. I didn't know, like, technically, I hear all these weird, like, NCAA about allegations about, like, paying or not paying. So, like, I didn't want to get in trouble with anything like that. So, but yeah, they reached out and they were like, we want to wear these shirts during pregame. We want to, we want to take pictures of this in the locker room. These are so cool. And so there was a picture that was tweeted out. Probably the coolest picture was every single player on our team who had an actual mullet after took a picture with this on. And I thought, like, that's all I needed. I didn't need the money. I didn't need the clout. That's all I needed. We had a win and those guys wore the shirts. That was so cool for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's just really, really awesome. Obviously means a lot. I would ask you, but I can already tell it means a lot that the team was reaching out and wearing your shirts. Mormons, BYU, obviously that's self-explanatory. The Mullets, many people might not know, but of course a lot of people on the team have mullets, and I think there was something like if the coach said if you guys go finish undefeated that he would grow a mullet or.
Yeah, I saw something about that. And so it started, I think, two of our defensive players, I'm pretty sure, Teddy Gallagher and Silas Kelly, two of our linebackers, started the mullet, and they were just studs on our defense. And so then we had our guy CJ Shrimp. He's a long snapper who got a mullet too. And then we have a few people on our team with mullets, and they rock. They have swagger. They play hard. And, of course, we have, like, the surf turf, the teal turf. And so it's just kind of been a vibe and an environment that everyone's picked up on. Like, it's a fun place to play. We have the really big celebrations after the big wins, that really viral one after the Georgia Southern game a few weeks ago, where there's, like, costumes in the locker room. It's a fun time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's really a kind of a, that's what college football is all about. And I would be remiss if I didn't kind of ask you about the actual game itself. Really, back and forth, tight, physical. There are a few different things that I had jotted down on here, but of course the play right before halftime, probably the two final plays of each half are probably the most notable ones in this college football epic. Take me through what was, and feel free to mention anything else that happened in the game, but the play right before halftime and then the play at the end of the game to end it. What were the feelings? What was the stadium environment like?
Yeah, I'll start with those two. The one before half, the whole thing before the end of the half, I was really nervous because I knew that BYU got the ball to start the second half, and so they scored at the end of the half. We had a 3-and-out or something, and they got the ball back. And so they could have possibly gone on like a 3-score run there. So I was really nervous. He threw the pick at the end on the Hail Mary, and I didn't see what happened until after because I was watching the return on the ball.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, I know how it goes sometimes. He throws a pick, you try to get a shot on the quarterback. That is nothing new. And so that was something. 94 on our team, Gunther, I'm pretty sure Gunther is his name, he was in the quarterback's grill all game. Yeah. He had a few good shots on the QB, and it was a little bit rough. It was definitely something. I have a little bit of bias towards being okay with it, but he played to the whistle. He played pretty rough there, but I'm not mad at it. If it was Grayson McCall instead, maybe I'd have some problems with it, but that's the nature of the beast. And then the little scrum, it was resolved quickly. We all went to the locker rooms, but that got everyone pumped up. When they were running to the locker room after, that we were ready to run through a wall at that point. We were really excited, and then really nervous at the end of the game because we had them backed up. I know towards the end they had a run on one of their last drives where the BYU running back went backwards like 30 yards, and that was huge. And then we had them backed up on like a 2nd and 17 after a holding penalty, and they threw like a 40-yard bomb in the last drive, and I was like, oh no, it's happening. Especially that, like, they win with a touchdown. It's a 5-point game. and I'm so used to disappointment. Because last year we came up short in some games at Coastal. I've watched South Carolina lose a whole lot of games in my life. So that last play was rough because I knew it was an awkward play because it was too close for like a big Hail Mary, but it was too far away for like maybe a crossing route or something like that. But yeah, or a fade. But whenever he caught the ball on the 3 or the 5, I was like, this is it. They came all the way back, and they're gonna score, break our hearts right now. But a good gang tackle saved it, and all week, all we heard, CCU heard was that BYU was going to out-athlete us. BYU had bigger, stronger people than us. They were going to score points. We weren't going to be able to stop them. And at times, I thought that, like at the first drive of the game, they had a long run that was called back, and their first score was like a 50-yard rush touchdown. Yeah. And I was like, it's going to be a long day. Like they're fast, but they only scored 2 touchdowns. They scored 17 points. Our defense did its job, and our offense had so many long possessions. Our first scoring drive was like a 94-yard, 9-minute drive. Like we beat them in the line of scrimmage, and we beat BYU straight up. It wasn't a fluke. Coastal's here to play, and so it was super, super fun. All of those. I was nervous. It was back and forth. Crazy good game. Probably top 2 college games I've ever been in attendance for.
I mean, it was probably the best game I've seen this year. It's probably one of the best college football games in recent memory for me anyway.
Absolutely. It's
the top 2. What's the other one?
The other one is South Carolina played Missouri a few years back. I think it was 2018 as well.
Okay.
Jake Bentley, our quarterback, was injured, and Michael Skarnecki, our backup, played, and we were down big, and Michael Skarnecki was his only start of his career, and it was a rain game. It poured. There were 2 rain delays, very little people in the stands, but I stayed the whole game, and we came back from behind and won. Something magical about a rain game like that. But that game and this game were huge. Like the energy in that stadium, I couldn't even tell that it was like part capacity because that's how loud we were in that stadium. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so that just incredible. Great college football game, great atmosphere. You had game day. Zach Wilson, he's been mentioned in Heisman conversations. He's been mentioned as an NFL draft pick. Was he kind of as, obviously Coastal did exactly what they had to do, wrapped him up, got in his face, but was he kind of as advertised? Because it wasn't like he was mistake prone. And then that final drive was almost like, oh my gosh, this could be a Heisman moment drive technically for him.
I think he was as advertised. I think that going to the game, he had the number 1 QBR in the nation, and Grayson McCall had like the 7th QBR in the nation. So it was a battle of 2 really good quarterbacks. But I was talking to my brother and my dad about it, and he's very smart. He knew exactly when to escape pressure. He knew exactly when to throw the ball away, and he knew where to find open receivers. Very good quarterback. Like our defense got to him, and he didn't have the best stat day. I think I saw his QBR was like 74 or something like that. But I think he was super smart. He's fast. He's mobile. I have great bias, and I take Grayson McCall any day of the week. Grayson McCall's only thrown one interception all season, but he's really good. I think he was at advertised. Obviously, down game. They didn't throw it as much. They ran it a whole lot. I expected them to pass more because at the end when they were passing a lot, they were getting all these yards.
Right.
But I think he was really, really good, and I applaud them for such a short turnaround coming across the nation and playing a top 15 team. That's rough, but I think he was good, really good.
No, that's good insight, and I was looking at Grayson McCall's stats as well, and I was like, both of these guys should be talked about a little bit more than they are. The bias to lean towards the big schools, of course.
Yeah,
a few things
that Mac Jones. Yeah.
Trask. Yeah. But a few things I thought were interesting was Coastal Carolina's ability just to have these long sustained drives. You mentioned that 94-yard drive. I think that took 9 minutes off the clock. The other 2 touchdown drives took like 5 and 6 minutes off the clock. Just long drives that kept them BYU on the sidelines. They went for it on 4th and goal in the first half. That was
back up too, which was insane because Grayson was he was injured for that play.
Yeah. I mean, just wild. So many things came into place, and then in the second half, you mentioned it. I think Coastal got a big sack on that took BYU out of Coastal Carolina territory. The guy for BYU ran backwards like 20 yards. Like, what are you doing? So they had some self-inflicted wounds, and then that final drive where the penalty sent back at the 9-yard line, and they went all the way down and finished at the 1-yard line in like 40 seconds. But they didn't get in the end zone. So at the end of the day, you guys were able to win, and that's great. Not really a question in there. Just some of the things that I thought made the game.
Yeah, it's something that's one of the biggest things that stuck out to me is how I expected to not run as much. I expected to put the ball in Grayson's hands and try to run the offense like through the air, because in some of our bigger games, in a little bit in the Louisiana game and in the App State game, I think that we went away from the option a little bit because we usually run this shotgun triple option thing a lot on our offense, but we kind of went away from that. And whenever we played a higher skilled teams on our schedule, like Louisiana and App State, because I think that if you have a defensively sound team, sometimes the option doesn't work as well. And also BYU was only giving up like 80 or 90 yards rushing a game, and we still ran it. Like, we had those long drives where we were just running it. I think we ran for like 280 something on the day. It was freaking insane because I just kept on thinking, I'm like, we're going to have to score a lot of points. We're going to have to throw a lot, because BYU, when they were scoring really quick. Like that first scoring drive, they had a long rush. The time of possession was so one-sided in our favor, and we needed that. And so that was the biggest shock for me, is how much time and how much we ran. I didn't think that we were going to be able to do that, to be honest with you, but Coastal's ready apparently. So
McCall only had like 85 yards passing, and now you have this Cinderella feel-good story of this kind of like, little college in Myrtle that no one really paid attention to, making a big splash with an upset win with a teal field. It kind of reminds me of like Boise State, about 15 years ago, right, when they burst onto the scene. It's like, hey, this is a little college in Idaho, and they have a blue turf field. Like, what? But they're beating all these teams.
Exactly.
Kind of what it reminds me of. So real quick, you have Troy and you have the Louisiana and the Sun Belt Championship game. You feel pretty confident in those two games?
I feel confident in Troy. I don't want to be cliche, but like, we have to take it a game at a time. Like, we cannot afford to. There have been upsets in the Sun Belt before this year. Like Texas State was 1-9 and beat a better Sun Belt team. Like, we have to take our time. It's at Troy. It happens. And then Louisiana, that's going to be a big game. Napier's a really good coach. Both Napier and Chadwell are both looking at bigger options. Hopefully for us, Chadwell will stay at Coastal. But the biggest thing is, like, for me, I'm looking now forward at the other Group of 5 teams. And so I'm looking at Cincinnati because they're the only Group of 5 team. The rankings come out today, but they're the only Group of 5 team that's going to be ahead of us. I know they play Tulsa, not this week, but next. So I'm going to be a big Tulsa fan. See, maybe if Coastal can find a way to be the highest ranked Group of 5 team, maybe if we win out these next 2 games, get a New Year's Six Bowl, like, make history. Like, that would be really cool. But these next 2 games are going to be big. Troy at Troy, and then Louisiana again, which was a really close game. And the first time we only won by a field goal. So.
Yeah, for the championship. I think Cincinnati plays Tulsa twice. I think they play them back-to-back weekends.
Really? Wow. That's interesting.
I could be wrong, or something might have changed, but I think they play like the regular season finale because their game was postponed for COVID reasons.
And then they're going to meet again at the championship?
And then they'll do it again at the championship.
Okay. Well,
so I think there might be two games there.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll be big Tulsa. I'll be a big Hurricane fan. So
Yeah, and I would argue if Coastal can stand unbeaten, they should get a spot in a New Year's Six Bowl. Anyway, I think someone should take them.
I agree with you.
If they finish undefeated, if Cincinnati and Coastal, take them both.
Yeah, we have 2 more games. We'll be 12-0. I mean, let's do it.
The question is, can enough chaos happen to get Coastal into the top 4 to get them in the playoff? Now that would be something.
That would be something, but like realistically, I think we're in the same boat as Central Florida was in a few years back. Whenever we could go undefeated, I don't see it happening. I think that with the current playoff setting we have with the committee, I don't think a group of 5 team will ever make it into the Final Four. I think it'll be very, very rare.
Yeah.
I think that if we had like a 4-8 team playoff with the BCS method, with the computer method, then group of 5 teams would have more of a shot. But I think with the human bias, with the ADs that have inherent ties to Power 5 schools, and they get more, I just don't see it happening with the group of 5 school with the current at all.
That's fair, but it's something that at least I'll be rooting for. I know you will.
Absolutely. I will be vocal about it. Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to do some rapid fire with you just about the shirts, just to recap.
Sure. Yeah.
So to date, how many? You started with 50. It took you 48 hours to go from design concept to here's the shirt, tangible material. How many have you sold to date?
As of when I checked before this, we're at right under 1,100 shirts.
That's incredible. 1,100 shirts. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The team has had, guys shirts. Ryan McGee. Are those the most, noteworthy characters that have got shirts from you, or is anybody else wild reached out to you for a shirt? Or
I've been like tagged in a lot of things. No one has necessarily reached out. I'm trying to get it to a few people. Like, it would be super cool if maybe Pat McAfee could get a shirt, because I know he was high on the Chance. And so, but not really. I've had a few some local news places want one for like interviews and stuff like that. But really, Brian McGee's probably the biggest. That one kind of put it on the map there. So yeah.
Okay. And to confirm, no NCAA violations with this time around with the Mormons versus Mullets t-shirts, everything.
Absolutely none. I don't know how they'd be able to call me on that. It's really just small scale. Just like I said, me and Noah, my brother, just making some shirts. We got 50 of them, and here we are for some reason. So
right. And is it fair to say that this has exceeded your wildest imaginations of where this shirt would be at?
Absolutely. Like, I expected to sell, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 and maybe have like 10 online sales. Like, that's what I expected. This was a cool little novelty. But yeah, us winning was huge too. Like, now everyone's like, that's insane. So far exceeded all my expectations.
And any other plans in the works, or ideas, shirts or otherwise, for the rest of Coastal Carolina's season?
So me and Noah have talked about it, and I had a coach talk to me about, let's start thinking about the championship. But me and Noah got very, very lucky. A lot of things were right in order, with the BYU game being Liberty game being canceled, the BYU to just finding somewhere that can print to it going viral. We don't want to get greedy. I'm not trying to make like a business out of the football team's work. I'm not trying to bite off more than I can chew, but I think right now, unless like a killer idea comes to us or something like that, we're just laying low and just being thankful for what happened right now. So, yeah, that's about it. Other than that, not really. Me and Noah have talked about maybe trying to get a podcast or anything, but I don't know. Nothing shirt related, and I think we're just really thankful for this right now. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's just so pure at its core, and it's really cool how you're taking all this in stride. Taylor, thanks so much for dropping by the minor lounge. Glad that you were able to finish up finals for this semester, and best of luck moving forward. Before I let you go, where can everybody find you? Where can everybody find the shirt if they want to purchase one?
Yes, so my name is Taylor Diveley. I'm on most social media, but my best social media is Twitter. It's just at Taylor Diveley. Can't get more simple than that. And in my pinned tweet, there'll be some links to this shirt, or if you're somewhere a BYU fan, BYU colors. Sorry for the loss. So that's where you can find me. Twitter's the best place, but I have Instagram too and all sorts of stuff.
Wow. Taylor Diveley, thank you so much for joining the Minor Lounge again, and you have a great day.
Of course. Thank you.